the idea that a team that we have in our head and in our recollection for the past 30 years as not being a great team could go in there and handle the Packers that easily. It was kind of like a changing of the guard type of a game. And I don't want to overly dramatize the outcome because it's still early. I remember a time, Miles, before you were born, so I'll tell you a little story here. It was the 1985 season when the Cowboys were still regarded as, a good team, and they were one of the elite franchises in the NFL. And in comes the Chicago Bears, who were having a pretty good year, but, the Bears hadn't been anything in the Super Bowl era. Okay. Pre-Super Bowl era, yeah, but, for modern NFL fans, the Bears always kind of stunk. And they went in there and they beat the Cowboys like 44-0, and that was like, wow, that was a changing of the guard statement game. And I'm thinking of that here. Not that the Jets are on their way to a Super Bowl this year, or they're even on their way to being a team that's in the conversation, but it just felt like one door slamming shut and the other door swinging open. For the Aaron Rodgers Green Bay Packers, it feels like, and I don't want to start putting dirt on the grave and or sending the horse to the glue factory, because that's usually when it turns on you in a very dramatic way, but it just feels like the Packers have no answers. And it feels like the Packers can't figure out how to consistently play. Forget about a complete game. They can't play a complete quarter, Miles. And here come the Jets who pounce early and never relent. And, it's not like it was a blowout, but there was just this sense that the Jets were just gradually going to take this one from the Green Bay Packers.
Well, we saw that block punt that the Jets got over the Packers. And, didn't they bring in Rich Bisaccia so that kind of stuff wouldn't happen? And those are the moves that you make in the offseason to try to prevent those kinds of
block
things
field
from
goal
happening.
Also.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's just, I'm not impressed with what's going on right now in Green Bay. I don't think anybody should be, but on the other side of that, you've got the Jets, and I'm reminded of Rex Ryan talking about, hey man, we're building a bully. And did the Jets ever really become bullies under Rex Ryan? I don't know, other than maybe that one year where they went to the AFC Championship game. I would say no. This team, they're bullies. They come in there and they don't relent. They keep playing. They keep that effort going. And in that game, you see where they're running the football really, really effectively. And that's how they just took the Packers out of it. I was really surprised to see how poorly the Packers defended the run against the New York Jets. And, especially when you've got the brother calling plays on one side of the other brother, who is the head coach on the other side, who's also calling the offensive plays. It's not like this really is an unfamiliar scheme to you. So I don't really know what's going on there with the Green Bay Packers, but they do not look like the team that we expect to see whenever it's being quarterbacked by Aaron Rodgers, especially the team that has looked really darn good in the regular season under Matt LaFleur.
Well, 13 wins in 2019, 13 wins in 2020, 13 wins in 2021, and now at 500. 3-2 was the worst 5-game start under Matt LaFleur. So 3-3, unheard of for these Green Bay Packers. And I don't know whether this is just a simple case, and maybe there's a lot in common right now between Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, both of whose teams are 3-3. I feel like maybe they both did the Brett Favre 2010 1 year too many. Like, sometimes it's better to know that and everybody wants that one last year that's going to result in winning a Super Bowl, like Peyton Manning, like John Elway, like Jerome Bettis, like Michael Strahan. But sometimes it's just not going to happen, and it makes it even more unsatisfying when you have that last year where you're just like, why did I do this? And I think with Aaron Rodgers, not that he's ever going to admit it. I saw somebody report last week, and I didn't write about it because I frankly hadn't heard of the person who was reporting it. It's somebody with a blue check on Twitter, which I guess means something. That
they gave you one.
People, exactly. I didn't even ask for it. People within the organization are under the firm and clear impression that this is Rodgers' last year, that he's made it clear it's going to be his last year. So I don't know that that makes a difference. I don't know that that helps. I don't know that it hurts. The bottom line is, and I remember in the offseason, Miles, saying you've got both the Chiefs and the Packers who have lost their top offensive threat in the passing game, with Tyreek Hill gone from Kansas City and Devontae Adams gone from Green Bay. I was not concerned and am not concerned about the Kansas City offense without Tyreek Hill. I was concerned and continue to be concerned about the Green Bay offense without Devontae Adams. And there was some Aaron Rodgers yesterday talking about that. Let's hear from what Aaron Rodgers said yesterday regarding this need to not make the offense more complicated or ornate, but to make it simpler going forward. Here he is.
It's always been like this. It's always been when we struggle, we're doing too much. So whether it's with Devontae Adams out there, we're no Devontae Adams. When we get into problems is when we maybe try and do too much. So there's multiple times, but in the past, based on the personnel or the way we were playing, we could get through that and win some of those games. So this is not a new thing that I'm saying here. This has been a part of every season, even in 2019. You know, it wasn't like we were gangbusters to start the season. But there were times where we needed to just rein it in a little bit. Let's just simplify some things. Make sure our guys are, playing with more confidence. That to be said, the standard is the standard. And the plays that we had in were easily, understood and executable. So this is not an attack on the staff at all, because they put in a plan that could win football games. But the execution, when it looks like that, it's not good enough.
He's thrown under the bus there. At first, it sounded like it was the coaching staff. We have to simplify things. We're making it too complicated. But then it's, well, you know what? It really wasn't all that complicated. We just need these guys to be able to execute. And I keep coming back to this. And I know it's an unpopular take, but I really don't give a crap. If Aaron Rodgers hadn't decided to ghost his teammates and the staff and the organization for 95% of the offseason program, he showed up for the mandatory minicamp and that was it, and he acts like it's no big deal, you don't have to be there. That's when you lay the foundation for things. That's when guys get on the same page. When you're talking about a young and or new core of receivers who are going to be eventually meshing with Aaron Rodgers or not, that's where you start the process of the connective tissue, of the relationships, and then you build on it in training camp. And then when the games start, you've got that week one brain fart that we see the Packers commit on an almost annual basis, but then they start winning games, and they get to a point where they're winning convincingly, and now they're losing convincingly. Think about that. They blew a 17-3 lead in London to the Giants, and then they lose by 17 to the Jets. The Jair Alexander manifestation of bad energy came to fruition. Aaron Rodgers, remember, he said, don't talk about that, don't manifest it. Well, they did. And I don't know what he's looking for offensively. He wants it simpler because apparently the guys that he's relying on aren't getting it done the way that they need to. It also doesn't help that he's got a thumb that I think is far more injured than they'll ever let on. But it's just not working. It's amazing to see an Aaron Rodgers Green Bay Packers team, Miles, struggle like this. We're not used to it. We're not used to the Packers. I'm used to the Packers being bad when I was growing up. I'm not used to the Packers being bad, looking like this since they got Brett Favre on the field in '92. They've had 30 years of teams that were far more often good than bad. This is weird to see for me.
It is weird to see. I mean, I'm reminded of my favorite Canadian jazz fusion band, where I don't think the Packers are bad, but right now they're also not good, So look, right now they're struggling in part because offensively there is not that continuity, right? You talk about that connective tissue, and we compare the Packers to the Chiefs and what both of those teams went through in the offseason. I mean, you just brought it up, right? Aaron Rodgers not there 95% of the offseason program. Patrick Mahomes brought those guys to Texas with him. They talked about this continuously, how Juju Smith-Schuster, MVS, who obviously used to be with the Packers, and then they brought Sky Moore into things when he got drafted. All those guys were together. They were doing things together. They were on the field together. They were off the field together. They were creating a unit within themselves that they can go back to now when they are on the field in crunch time. Now, obviously, they didn't get it done yesterday against the Buffalo Bills, but that team is still extremely competitive, and we still think of the Chiefs as one of the two best teams in football. You look at the Packers, and there is not that continuity. And you have to wonder, well, if Aaron Rodgers had taken the time to really get with those guys in the offseason program, get to know them personally, get to know them from an on-the-field standpoint too in May, not just in late July and August, then maybe things would be a little bit different where you're not talking about simplifying things and we're 6 games into the season. You need to be expanding things now, not condensing, especially if you have a quarterback as good as Aaron Rodgers. So there are a lot of concerns right now with the Green Bay Packers.
Rodgers missed practice on Wednesday with the thumb injury, played, obviously. After the game, Matt LaFleur said that the thumb was hurting. He battled through it. He refused to say that inaccuracies from Aaron Rodgers were attributable to the thumb. He would say that would be making excuses, so he didn't make it. That's the next level. That's next level. I'm not making excuses, but the quarterback's thumb was injured. Next level is, I'm not going to make excuses because that would be making excuses. So I'm not going to say that the quarterback's thumb had anything to do with his inaccuracy because that would be making excuses. That really is. That's the Jedi mind trick of making excuses. But, the bottom line is Aaron Rodgers is banged up. He is banged up, and it's having an effect. And there are more issues beyond Aaron Rodgers' health that are causing challenges for the Green Bay Packers. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.